One look could make her fall for you every time. Have you ever wondered, what if one look could make her fall for you every time? It's the relationship equivalent of discovering a secret cheat code that lets you skip straight to the final level of a video game. This tantalizing possibility suggests that somewhere in the complex universe of human connection, there might exist a specific visual technique so powerful that it could reliably trigger attraction with just a glance. Throughout human history, people have been fascinated by the power of eye contact. Even Cleopatra reportedly practiced specific eye movements to enhance her legendary allure. Ancient Greek philosophers wrote about ocular emissions, the belief that eyes literally projected energy beams of desire. It's the romantic version of Superman's heat vision, except instead of melting steel, you're melting hearts. But instead of accepting mystical explanations, let us apply excessive scientific analysis to this deeply human desire and see what mathematical conclusions we can draw. What if we model visual attraction as a precise neurobiological system that can be deliberately activated? Let's call this the ocular activation theorem. Under this framework, certain specific patterns of eye movement and facial microexpressions could theoretically trigger predictable neurochemical responses in the observer. If this hypothesis were correct, we would need to calculate the visual attraction threshold, the precise combination of gaze duration, pupil dilation, and facial micro-expressions required to reliably trigger the neurobiological cascade associated with romantic interest. According to research in interpersonal neurobiology, visual processing accounts for approximately 30 to 40% of our brain's sensory input, making it an extraordinarily powerful channel for communication. But here's where things get fascinating. Eye contact doesn't just transmit information, it actually synchronizes brain activity between people. A groundbreaking study from Kyoto University used dual-functional (MRI) to scan the brains of people making eye contact and discovered that their neural oscillations began to synchronize, creating what neuroscientists call neural coupling. Essentially, your brains begin to operate on the same wavelength. This synchronization occurs primarily in the right inferior frontal gyrus brain region associated with emotional processing and social cognition. When this synchronization reaches sufficient intensity, it triggers the release of phenylethylamine, the same neurochemical released during early-stage romantic attraction. This is why sustained eye contact can create that unmistakable feeling of connection even between strangers. What's particularly interesting is that researchers have identified several key visual techniques that maximize this. Neurological synchronization. 1. Asterisk, asterisk. The triangle technique asterisk, asterisk. A specific pattern of eye movement where you alternate between looking at the left eye, right eye, and lips, creating a triangular pattern. This creates what neuroscientists call visual engagement patterns that signal romantic rather than platonic or professional interest. Eye tracking studies show this pattern naturally emerges during flirtatious encounters, but is rarely present during ordinary conversation. 2. The 70/30ths principle. Maintaining eye contact for approximately 70% of a conversation while looking away for 30%. Studies show that this ratio is perceived as significantly more attractive than either constant staring or frequent looking away. This creates what psychologists call optimal perceptual tension, not so available as to seem desperate, not so unavailable as to seem disinterested. 3. Pupil mirroring. Our pupils unconsciously dilate when we see someone attractive, but fascinatingly, we're also more attracted to people whose pupils are dilated. This creates a positive feedback loop where attraction literally becomes visible and contagious. Researchers at the University of Chicago found that artificially dilated pupils in photographs were rated as significantly more attractive, even when subjects couldn't consciously identify any difference. 4. The slow break. Breaking eye contact by slowly looking to the side rather than down. Downward breaks signal submission or shame, while slow lateral breaks signal confidence and thoughtfulness. The direction matters to breaking right activates different neural pathways than breaking left. This subtle distinction influences what emotion the observer's brain associates with your gaze. 5. Peripheral awareness. Using what vision scientists call soft focus, remaining aware of the person in your peripheral vision, even when not directly looking at them. This triggers a phenomenon called covert attention, where the observer subconsciously realizes you're maintaining awareness of them even when not actively looking, creating a sense of sustained connection. 6. Microexpressions, synchronization. Briefly mirroring the microexpressions of your conversation, partner with a 1 to 2 second delay. This creates what social psychologists call emotional contagion, the unconscious mirroring of emotional states. When done with precise timing, it creates the feeling that you deeply understand and share their emotional experience. The fascinating aspect is that while these techniques can be deliberately practiced, they also occur naturally when we're genuinely interested in someone. This creates an interesting paradox. The most effective way to generate these patterns is to actually be interested. But conscious awareness of the patterns can help overcome social anxiety that might otherwise disrupt them. After analyzing all this data and running it through neurological algorithms, we've reached a surprising conclusion. The idea of a single magic look that makes someone fall for you every time is mathematically improbable. But there are indeed specific visual engagement patterns that significantly increase the likelihood of triggering attraction. The statistically most reliable approach isn't to master a single powerful technique, but rather to create what neuroscientists call a layered visual engagement pattern, combining multiple, authentic signals that collectively communicate genuine interest, confidence, and emotional attunement. Here's where it gets truly counterintuitive. Research from the University of California found that the effectiveness of these visual techniques varies dramatically, based on the existing context and relationship. The same exact eye movement pattern that might trigger strong attraction in someone already open to connection could trigger discomfort, or even aversion in someone who is undestined. This is because our brains process visual signals through complex contextual filters that consider factors like setting, prior relationship, current emotional state, and cultural background. Contrary to what some dating advice suggests, there is no universal visual cheat code that works regardless of context. However, what does exist is what social psychologists call context-sensitive visual communication. The ability to adapt your visual engagement pattern based on the subtle cues you're receiving from the other person. And this leads us to the most fascinating finding of all. What makes eye contact truly powerful isn't just the specific technical pattern, but the genuine emotional attunement behind it. When researchers at MIT compared the effectiveness of technically perfect eye contact patterns performed mechanically versus somewhat imperfect patterns delivered with genuine emotion, the authentic connection consistently created stronger neurological responses. So the next time you find yourself wondering if a single look could make someone fall for you, remember that neuroscience, psychology, and relationship research all point to the same conclusion. The most effective visual connection is unachieved through perfect technique alone, but through a combination of awareness, authenticity, and emotional presence. If you're still skeptical about the power of eye contact, consider this. The average person makes eye contact only 30 to 60% of the potential time during conversation, mostly in brief 1 to 2 second intervals. Simply increasing this to 60 to 70% in 3-4 second intervals, while incorporating the triangle technique, can increase your perceived charisma by up to 40%, according to social psychology studies. In the complex algorithm of human attraction, sometimes the simplest changes create the most profound effects. Perhaps the real power wasn't in finding a magical visual technique after all, but in rediscovering the profound connection that becomes possible when we truly see and are seen by another person.